All right. This is Joe from the JoeDWhite Talks radio program. Good evening. I just had a few shots of that wonderful spiced rum, so I'm kind of starting to get a little buzz here.
All right.
So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting night. I have Cecil Trachenburg from GoodBadFlicks. And we're going to be talking about his YouTube career and a variety of different movies that the previous came out previously. It's a pre-recorded interview, so I do apologize about the audio quality. Because we had to call via Skype, and I can figure out how to do it. But it should be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with an awesome song. It's from an 80s movie from a very long time ago called Electric Dreams. So take it away with P.P. Arnold with Electric Dreams.
Tell me, boy, do you have room in your heart for the computer boo?
I started probably roughly 6 years ago. I was tired of all the YouTubers, and at the time, Blip TV, which was YouTube's competition that has since gone out of business.
Right.
But I was kind of tired of how the internet had gone more in the direction of taking movies that weren't necessarily bad and playing them up like they were the worst thing ever. Now, I realize that there are a lot of movies that are, genuinely bad, but there were a bunch of movies that were getting trashed that I didn't feel were really movies that deserved to be trashed. And so initially I started making the videos on Blip. I was doing them just for some friends of mine. I really didn't think, it's not that I didn't think much of it, but I didn't really think that it was going to kind of go over as well as it did. And I did that for a little while, and I was just kind of putting the videos up there, and friends of mine, people that I knew, were watching them. And then after a couple of months, I discovered that people who I didn't know had discovered the videos and were really liking them. And then I decided that, hey, I should probably, this might be something. So I started putting a little more effort into it. And then I went over to YouTube, and then, the channel kind of took off from there.
So we do, we talk a lot about geek topics on our show. Have you seen any of the newest, like Batman versus Superman, or any of the newest Marvel releases?
Yeah, I saw Batman vs. Superman. I just saw Civil War. I'm going to see X-Men Apocalypse tomorrow night. So yeah, I've seen pretty much all the new Marvel and, well, the one new DC movie.
Okay. So what's your opinion on Batman vs. Superman, first of all?
I liked Batman vs. Superman. I thought that it was cool. I thought that people were really attacking it unwarrantedly. I would very much like to see the complete version, the 3-hour plus long version. I think that that'll probably fill in some of the blanks that people were complaining about. Mm-hmm. It just seemed like before the movie even came out, people had already made up their minds that it was going to suck because they had. I like a lot of the Marvel movies, but I've always been a bigger fan of the DC comics. So I was happy to see that they were getting into a little bit more seriousness with the DC books, because the three Nolan Batman movies were very good, and I liked how they were kind of restarting, their universe and be like, okay, we're going to make one cohesive DC universe, kind of like what Marvel's doing with their thing, and they're going to go in a different direction. They're not going to go with kind of a little bit of the lighthearted nature of Marvel. Mm-hmm. They're going to go a bit more on the serious thing, and the thing that kills me is that people are complaining, it's grim dark, it's so miserable, there's no humor, and there's humor, there's a good bit of that in there. It seemed like a lot of things that people were attacking were things that were there, or things that they just had already made up their mind about.
Right, exactly. And there was a few rumors that Batgirl was supposed to be in the film. She wasn't in the film. She's supposed to be on the extended release. Robin, not Jason Todd, I'm talking about the female Robin, was supposed to be in this film, and she wasn't in there. There were really a lot of complaints that not just the movie was dark, that it just didn't have a lot of good background to it, like why Batman was this murderous rampage character. And I thought I came into it with not a lot of expectations, but I came into it thinking, okay, I'm going to see a comic book film, and I walked out thinking, holy crap, this is what I expected, this is what I wanted. So
mm-hmm. I thought that they nailed that aspect of it, and it had a lot of things taken from the comic books and put into there. And one of the things too that I think is kind of become an issue is that, and there's nothing particularly wrong with this, but because of the comic book movies, you're getting a lot of people that weren't into comics that have kind of a passing knowledge of comic books that are getting into, the comic book movies, and thinking that the comics are the same as the movie. Like, for example, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that Batman has guns.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, he's had guns in the comics before.
Duh.
And then in my Man of Steel video, when people were complaining about, oh my God, Superman does not kill people, and I presented, I think, 12 examples of him killing people. So it's great that it's introducing a lot of people into comics, and they're getting into that, but then they're getting argumentative about things that they don't really know about. They're basing a lot of their concept of the character on previous movies and not on the actual comics.
Exactly. Also, you probably brought up some really great points in your previous videos as well, because I want to do like a shameless plug. You had this really great video about PG-13 movies. Why Hollywood is migrating more to PG-13 versus having a grim, dirty, R-rated version, and that's to market towards preteens, adolescents, and try to get more money into their profit margins. I guess that's what I'm trying to summarize. Did I do a good job?
Yeah, that's about right. I think that the whole PG-13 issue, it started off with good intentions, but as is a lot of things in Hollywood, things start off with good intentions and then they go in a different direction. The PG-13 rating was initially there to be a good in-between. Here's a movie that's it's not dirty enough for an R, but it's got some aspects that aren't really suitable for children. So they wanted that kind of in-between to get that sweet demographic of teenagers that just have expendable wallets and they're at the movies every weekend. And that was kind of where it started. And then it went off the rails and became, all right, well, now if we shoot a movie R-rated and then we edit it back to PG-13, we can release it PG-13 in the theater and, get that money. And then when it comes out on video, we'll, edit it back to R-rated or unrated or whatever, and then release it and then kind of double dip. And the problem with that is that a lot of times if the movie comes out, like if the movie's shot to be R-rated and then they edit it to be PG-13, a lot of times they don't edit with a scalpel, they edit with like a hatchet, and they'll just remove giant chunks of the film, and then the movie comes out in theaters. It doesn't make sense because they cut out very important things that would have made the movie R-rated, and then the movie flops, and then they don't want to spend the extra money to put an R-rated or unrated cut on DVD, so then the movie is kind of forever tarnished. Or if they do put out the full cut on DVD, a lot of people don't realize that the version that came out in theaters was completely hacked to bits. And this isn't insulting, the movie-going audience, but the majority of people that go see movies, it's a very passive thing. They don't really. Like me, it's my job. So and before it was even my job, I would research and look into every aspect of filmmaking because it's something that I loved and something that meant a lot to me. Right. But the majority of your film-going audience, they go see a movie, and either the movie is good or bad. And if the movie is good, great. And if it's bad, it sucks. And then they either go on social media and say it sucks, or they don't really think about it anymore. Right. They don't understand that, well, the director shot it to be this and the studio changed it and this, that, and the other thing. All they know is that they went to see a movie and it sucked. And then if the full cut is released on home video, then they're not going to watch it again. They're not going to give it a shot because as far as they know, it sucks.
Right. I think just trying to go back to a historical analysis, this started with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I was just like a little youngster when I first saw that film. That had a lot of rated R elements to it. That was like, whoa, this is gruesome. And I think the MPAA created that as like in between, like you said before. Let's go to Captain America Civil War. I thought that that film was pretty much more darker than Batman versus Superman. I don't know if you have that same interpretation or not.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, it was dark in its own ways. It was also a little more lighthearted at points. So I would say they were both kind of dark in their own ways. I liked Civil War. I thought that it was a lot of fun. I actually kind of went off on a tear about how in the very beginning, for whatever reason, they filmed with a lot of shaky cam, and they were messing with the shutter speeds to give it a very choppy look. And apparently they had said that from what I had read, I couldn't find anything official, but they had said that the opening action sequence, they shot it with the different frame rate because Scarlett Johansson was pregnant at the time, and they were like,
no way.
And they were doing that to kind of mask some of that. But the thing was, the stuff that she was doing, a lot of that had to have been her stunt person. So I don't know. It kind of seemed like a weird choice, especially because then the second big action sequence, there was the motorcycle chase with Bucky, where that was not as bad as the first one, but it was still pretty bad, and that had me worried. And then when they went into the airport action sequence, thankfully a lot of that seemed to be like gone at that point. It was still a little shaky cam, it was still a little choppy, but nowhere near as bad as one at the beginning. I was actually getting really irritated, and I was getting kind of depressed because I had been looking forward to this for so long, and then to have them ruin it with bad action sequences. But thankfully, it just seemed like it was just something weird that they did in the beginning for whatever reason, and then it didn't really affect the rest of the film.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, as far as it being dark, I think they both had like darker and lighter aspects to them.
For me, just as a perspective, I don't know if you've listened to my radio show before. I gave my little review, and I thought that the first act of the film was just so miserable and so terrible. When you have one bad thing happening to the other after the other after the other. You have the lady from Nigeria going to Iron Man saying, "You killed my son," and you've got Captain America finding about, not in person, not via anything else, but via text message. That's almost as bad as getting broken up via text message, in my opinion. But he has to go to the funeral, and it just seemed so depressing for the first half of the film. And I was thinking, where's the humor? There's no humor. I was expecting kind of like a Joss Whedon kind of comedy throughout the whole entire thing, and I didn't get it because it was directed by the Russo brothers, and it just seemed kind of really different than what I've seen before. But I mean, it still was a great film. I didn't notice like the choppiness of the action.
Yeah, maybe it's me, because I know I had mentioned a few things, and I had to like people were asking when I was talking about before I started doing the videos full time, I was a video editor, so I have I notice a lot of things, and a lot of times too I have a bad habit of be watching a movie, and like a scene will go on a little bit too long. I'm like, oh, I would have cut that, I would have cut there. I have a bad habit. Like, I don't really annoy the people I'm with, but in my head I'm like, oh, I would have cut that. Oh, that should have been shorter. Oh, they should have gone with a different. But anyway, that's just me being nitpicky. But I tend to notice a lot of things that maybe people don't. The average audience maybe doesn't really even care about, but I just see little stuff here and there, and it seemed odd to me that for a movie this huge, that they would give it to the Russo brothers, and their movie prior to this was You, Me, and Dupree. It just seemed like a really weird choice. It's like, okay, here are two, a brother duo, and we're going to give them a major flagship title to direct, and their previous movie was You, Me, and Dupree. I understand, like, okay, if you have somebody who maybe shot an action movie or shot a smaller action movie, or for example, the guy I think, is it Garth Ennis who directed Monsters? And then they gave him Godzilla, like something like that made sense, because it's like, okay, here's a guy who kind of understands how to make a monster movie, so let's give him our monster movie. Well, it's with the brothers, it seemed like, okay, here are two guys that did a comedy, and let's give them a $250 million blockbuster action film. It seemed like a very odd. Now, thankfully, I think that it worked out well. The movie ended up being good, but it was a major. They must have really, really been good in the boardroom, like explaining their concepts and what they wanted to do, because it definitely wasn't off the strength of their previous movie that got them the job.
Right. It was. Also, that's just so reminding me of Sam Raimi with Spider-Man, because when you're watching the Spider-Man trilogy, the ones, the first two that kind of was okay, not okay, but they were actually really good, and the last one kind of sucked, and then they had to reboot it. But you don't see like the Sam Raimi elements in those films. Kind of like the Evil Dead elements and the elements you see in Drag Me to Hell. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely does more of the Raimi stuff. The stuff that he's famous for, the first-person camera angles, and a lot of the very fast motion tracking stuff that he did with Evil Dead, and that he did with Drag Me to Hell. He didn't really do that with Spider-Man. I mean, there were a couple of like Raimi shots, I guess you could say, in Spider-Man 1 and 2. Spider-Man 3, you could completely tell that he checked out. Like he did not want to be making that movie. Well, he really got pigeonholed by the studio. He wanted to have Vulture as the villain for 3, and he had a whole thing lined up. And the studio wanted Venom, and I think they ended up shoehorning Sandman in there. Sandman was kind of like the I can't do this, I'll do this character, and then it was like, all right, we have to have Venom in the movie, and he didn't want to do it. And then it really kind of showed that he didn't want to be doing the movie, because it just had very little heart. And it's kind of odd to think that all right, we're gonna I think Spider-Man 3 was like $300 million or some ridiculous amount of money, right? But it was like, to have control of this monumental blockbuster, budgeted film, and then to just not be into it, it's like it sucked. It was weird, and it was a shame. And the movie, I still have people that try to defend it, and it's like, fine, if you like it, that's fine, but you don't try to act like it's a good movie. It's not majorly disjointed, and it doesn't have the charm and the wit and just the goodness of the first two.
I want to pause this because I want to take a break, and then we'll continue back on. Cecil Trachenburg from GoodBadFlicks, and I'm going to ask you a question. Have you caught up with Game of Thrones?
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
You don't watch Game of Thrones?
It's nothing against Game of Thrones. I don't have HBO, so.
Okay. Showtime, Penny Dreadful.
Nope. I actually, a while ago, we canceled all of our premium channels, so we just have the basics, Discovery and all that stuff we used to have the Discovery for Mythbusters, but then Mythbusters ended, so now it's pretty much just Walking Dead and, whatever else.
Okay, so you've seen Walking Dead.
I am a season behind, so everything that's happened this season, I don't even remember the last episode I watched was the last episode of last season. So I've just been really busy, and it's something that me and my wife, we would watch together. But this year's been really crazy, and a lot of nights where I'm like, okay, let's watch, and she'd fall asleep. So, so we just kind of put it on hold for the time being. So I've got the entire season on my DVR, and unfortunately, a lot of stuff that happens has been spoiled because social media can't shut up. But so by the time I watch it, I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm probably going to know the majority of things that will happen. So.
Right. So I'm not going to spoil anything for you on this season because I'm not a bad person. But
I had somebody. You want to get that? I was getting ready to go see Star Wars episode, Force Awakens, and the day before, I couldn't see it on opening day because I was too late and I didn't get tickets, so I ended up getting tickets for the next day.
Right. And
the day before I was going to go see it, somebody emailed me a spoiler.
No way.
Yeah, it was just, I'm not going to say for the people who haven't seen it, but it was a major plot point in the film, and it was basically an email, and I opened it up, and it was just one line, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So, that's just people being jerks.
Right. I guess I'm kind of a jerk as well because the first episode I've done, this is actually upcoming broadcast will be the fourth broadcast I've done, and the first broadcast was a post May the 4th be with you episode, and there were a lot of spoilers in that episode, so I'm a pretty naughty boy.
Well, the thing is that's different though, because then somebody has the opportunity, they can listen or they can turn it off. But, just emailing somebody or posting on social media, something, or, it's just somebody being there's a big difference.
Okay. So what did you think about the movie?
I liked it. It was actually, it was my fifth. I had my top 10 of 2015, and it was number 5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that a lot of the problems that people have with it, it was a lot like episode 4, and Rey was a Mary Sue and all this nonsense. As I was trying to tell people, I'm like, look, this is part 1 of a trilogy.
Right.
So we're going to find out in parts 2 and 3 a little bit more of Rey's backstory, and we're going to find out that she's not. Personally, I think. Who knows? I could be completely wrong, but I have a feeling we're going to find out that she's already had some training and maybe doesn't remember, or maybe it's who knows. But the thing is, we don't know really what her entire story is, and people are kind of jumping to conclusions. They don't understand that with the first 3 movies, with 4, 5, and 6, we've seen them a bajillion times over the years, and so we kind of understand the whole story arc and all that stuff. And now we're coming into this, and they're starting this new story arc with all these different characters and introducing, having some of the old ones in there, but we don't know the full story. It's like reading the first third of a book and then being angry and thinking that you know everything that's going to happen in the rest of the book without reading the rest of it. So let's wait until we see the other two movies before we start jumping up and down and saying that labeling Ray and Mary Sue and all this other nonsense.
Right, and people were especially me, I'm gonna be honest, were kind of questioning who was the lineage, the family lineage of Rey. Was Luke Skywalker her father? Was it through Han Solo and Princess Leia? Because she had to have, the midichlorian gift somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably, more than likely, it's either going to be, she's either going to be related to Luke in some way, shape, or form, or she's going to have some sort of Jedi lineage. She's going to be, she's already, proven to be Force adept, but I think that there's more to the story. And who knows? The big joke is that, that it is going to be Luke, but it could very well be another character that hasn't been introduced yet. Who knows?
Right. Exactly. And Snoke, I have no idea why they put them in here in that movie to begin with, because it just seemed that the character wasn't really that well crafted, CGI effects, and then it just didn't have that much of an explanation, in my opinion.
Snoke apparently had much more to do in the longer. This is a problem we have with a lot of movies. With longer movies, they end up cutting them down, and consequently things get reduced.
Right, okay.
Like General Phasma, she apparently had a much larger part in the movie as well, but they cut it down to keep the movie under 3 hours.
Okay.
And the same thing they're saying with Snoke is that there were more things that he had done, but they just kind of reduced his screen time to keep the length of the movie to a reasonable time. So I don't know. I haven't picked up the Blu-ray, so I don't know if it has like deleted scenes on it or anything, or if they're going to eventually put out a longer cut of the film. But I think that's kind of the problem with those two characters. It's just that they had their screen time drastically reduced.
Ooh, okay, that's a different interpretation that I've never, or a different explanation that I've never heard of before. What would be a good Netflix recommendation at this point? I guess you do a lot of videos about Netflix recommendations.
Yeah, I every week I put out a video with I started doing 10 a week, and that just got out of hand because it was really hard to recommend 10 movies a week, because Netflix has a tendency to every month they'll add and remove titles. So I had reduced it down to 4 and would kind of go with 4 different genres. And people seem to be cool with that because that gives me an opportunity to, watch a couple of movies during the week. And one thing that I run into, though, is sometimes I'll spend a week and I'll watch movies, and because a lot of times people are always like, oh, I want to, I watch your Netflix recommendations to get the hidden gems. Well, the problem is sometimes I'll watch movies that look good, but they end up being awful. And I'll end up recommending stuff that everybody already knows is good. I'll recommend Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something. Right, and people are like, oh, I already know. I've already seen Ferris Bueller. It's like, well, I just sat through a whole bunch of crappy films, and, the week was out and I needed to put a video up. So I recommended something that, and also maybe people, maybe some younger people are watching it. They've never seen it. Or, hey, this is kind of I know you've probably seen this, but letting them know that it's there. And, okay. Oh, I didn't even know Ferris Bueller was on there. I'll go watch it or something, I love that movie. But there have been times where I've watched just awful movie after awful movie. And so I'm not going to recommend them. I saw one movie I thought was going to be a lot of fun and ended up just being really terrible. It was like Navy SEALs versus Zombies, I think. And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. You know?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And it was terrible. Because, well, like, one of the Navy SEALs was fat, for one thing.
Okay.
And that, like, immediately, that right there took me right out. I'm like, all right, look, it's one thing if you're going to be like, you know, a team of you know, maybe a special forces police thing or something, but Navy SEALs are supposed to be like the best of the best, you know.
Yeah.
These guys that can survive, you know, they'll get dropped off in the middle of the ocean, they'll swim to shore, they'll take out, you know, and here's this dude who's getting winded. And like, I'm like, this is
oh, good Lord.
So yeah, that was really bad. I had a hard time even making it through that one.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Let me think. And another thing too, I have like, there's sometimes, like, I've had everybody keeps telling me to watch a movie called Zombies, and I'm going to check it out. It's again a zombie movie. It's like a bunch of people trapped in a zoo, and the zoo animals are you know, infected by this thing, and then they're zombies. The only thing was, as soon as it started up, you know, the Asylum presents, and I'm just like, no, I'm not in the mood for an Asylum movie tonight. For those of you who don't know, Asylum are the Mockbuster guys. They did Sharknado and all that sort of thing. So sometimes you have to really be in the mood to watch an Asylum picture, because most of the time, I mean, they can be fun. They have put out some really entertaining ones. Like, I do enjoy the Sharknado movies. They did a Sherlock Holmes movie that was a lot of fun, but some of their movies are just really, really bad CGI messes, and it's tough. So that one is one that I have had a lot of people asking me to watch, so I'm going to have to check that one out. But anyway, to recommend something, Stakeland is really good. Stakeland is it's kind of like a road trip movie where the country's been taken over by vampires, and it's this dude he's like a lone traveler, and he's trying to get to this city that is protected from vampires. And so he's doing this, he's kind of traveling across the land and killing vampires and trying to save people and stuff. And it was really good. I thought that a lot of people dismissed it because, you know, Stakeland, they thought it was the vampire version of Zombieland, and it really kind of did its own thing. It's a pretty entertaining little movie, so that's one I've recommended a few times.
Do you read any books?
I do, but I am the world's slowest reader, so it takes me forever to get through a book. I'll read part of it and then like kind of reread it, and so you know, like a book, like my wife absorbs books. Like, I have so many books in my collection, and she's a teacher, so over the summer she has a lot of time to you know, a lot more free time than she does during the year. So she'll like come into my library, more or less, where I have all my books, and just will take a stack of books that I haven't even read yet, and we'll just tear through them. Like, she'll read a book in, like, you know, an evening, and me, it'll take me like a month.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm really slow. So I don't know. Like, it's not like a learning disability or something. You know, it's just I've always just been really slow with reading books.
For me, at first, it took me a while just to even start speed reading. There's a really great book series that that I was starting to read. It's and I actually had the author on the show. His name is Shane Moore. He writes a book series called The Apocalypse of Enoch, and he took a premise of, let's say the apocalypse happened. Like, I don't know if you're well versed in Protestant religion, but the rapture. Let's say if the rapture happened and everybody's missing. what if the rapture also caused a zombie apocalypse? And he puts in a lot of religious, stuff and references in it, and it's actually quite good, to be honest. So that's a great recommendation for you. I mean, it's not the books are not terribly long. They're maybe like 200 pages each, and they're pretty easy reads too. So
that's cool. I've actually I've been reading a little bit more since I got a Kindle, and it kind of has made it a little more convenient. Although lately I've kind of just been reading like D&D like source books and stuff. So I haven't really been reading like novels. I don't know. I've always like the thing is I used to play D&D a lot when I was younger, and my group that I played with, we've all kind of grown up, and we've got families now, and we don't have the opportunity to get together like we used to. And I still, if I had the time, and had, my friends and stuff, if we're able to, like we even would get together like once a year and play, and it was cool. But the thing is now it's too many people have families and kids, and it's just impossible to get everybody together. So I still really like it. So I end up reading like the source books and reading like the new materials and stuff that come out, and it's just it gets me all nostalgic, and I'm like, oh, and it does kind of spark a bit of my creativity. Like I'd like to, if I'm trying to figure out how to do something with that in video form, because it's hard to take something that's pen and paper and then talk about that. So I'm thinking about maybe I'll do a video on like the history of D&D, but something like that, of course, is going to take like forever to research, because it's what is it? I think it's turning 50 next year or something. Yeah. So there's a lot of history to go over, but right. But anyway, I like reading like source books of that. I like I've got a bunch of comic books on my Kindle, and a bunch of novels and stuff that I've downloaded, but they usually take me quite a while to read. Although I do, not surprisingly, if you ever watched my show at all, you know that I really like post-apocalyptic stuff. So a lot of the novels that I read are novels that have to do with the apocalypse. So like there's one called Phytosphere, there's Earth Blood, just books that all have to do with various types of the apocalypse. There was one, so good. Again, going into zombies. It was a book called Zombies, but it was with an X, so it was XOMBIES. And it was a really neat way of doing the apocalypse. God, the book's probably like 10 years old now at this point. Basically, there's a virus that spread in the world, and as soon as women hit puberty, they turn into zombies. Huh. And the book focuses on this one girl who she is with her. I'm trying to remember if I think it was her uncle. She had this disease where she was like 20 years old, but she never actually hit puberty. So she's like the last woman who's not, who's over, the age of 13, who's not a zombie. And it goes like, there's this whole thing where she goes to like this military installation, and there's a submarine that is like trying to travel up to Alaska because the zombies don't like the cold, and like they're trying to figure out, they're investigating her to try to figure out how they can, what they can learn from her in order to counteract the zombie virus. And it was really good. And they actually put out, the last I checked, there were 2 sequels after it. But that first book was just awesome. That was a really, really good book. And it's hard because now zombies have kind of become this default thing where people just, oh God, another zombie thing. But it's like, well, this came like before zombies were like everywhere. So it was really fresh, and it still stands on its own. It's still really good and unique and different from the glut of zombie-related things that we get lately.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And the author is Walter Greatshell. Oh,
yes.
It's. Oh, yeah, I'm looking it up right now, and it looks really good. Comic books. What kind of comic books?
I haven't read. Let's see. I mean, I read a lot more when I was younger. I read, your basics, your X-Men, Batman. Loved Green Lantern. Lately, I've been reading a lot of oddball titles. There's a book series I absolutely love. Unfortunately, I should say I'm rereading it. It was a short-lived thing under DC, under their Milestone imprint. It's called Blood Syndicate. It's so good. It was about... It took place in it was DC, but it was outside of the DC universe.
Right.
But it was a group of gang members that got superpowers. And they're in the middle of there's territory wars between different gangs, but the different gangs now have superpowers. And it was really well written. The characters were awesome. They were creative. They were different. It wasn't just, here's a strong guy that can beat up stuff. It was okay, well, this guy has this ability, this person, it was really good. I loved that. That only unfortunately went on, I think there was only 30 or 40 issues of that.
Right.
That was really good. I'm rereading Spawn. Todd McFarlane's Spawn.
Right.
Because I had stopped reading somewhere around issue 90, I think, or something. And I know now, God, they're into 400 or something. So I was I really want to go back and start that over again from the beginning. So I went back and have been enjoying that. Very, very nostalgic. It's bringing me right back to the 90s. That when there was that particular flavor of a superhero at the time. Everything was very brooding and very I'm living in the streets and it sucks, and everything was such a downer. Exactly. It was really good. I know it's almost like people will joke about it, but hey, that was the way that things were at the time, and that was great. I loved. I'm really enjoying reading Spawn again, and I'm surprised at how much I've forgotten over the years. I'm wow, I don't remember any of it. I don't remember this story arc at all. So I do want to go and I love Green Lantern. Green Lantern's probably my favorite comic book character. I do want to go and read a lot of the arcs that I missed when I stopped reading comics. There was the Darkest Night arc where apparently there's a black Green Lantern ring that makes them all crazy or something. I don't know what it just looked. I just saw it from the covers and it really looked cool. So, but that's again a matter of being able to pick all those issues up and either getting them digitally or buying the trades and reading them. Right. But that's one that I'd like to check out. I'm curious.
And also, just to do a shameless plug, DC Universe is just released today their Rebirth issue. And basically they're, I don't know what you could say, rebooting again their DC lineup. So it used to be the New 52, now it's the Rebirth edition. So it's kind of like, I guess they're trying to jumpstart the series over again.
So they're getting rid of excuse me a second.
What?
Just inhaled some dust. So they're, I haven't been keeping up on this. They're getting rid of the New 52 already?
Yeah, they're getting rid of the New 52 already. And they're calling it the DC Rebirth. And they still have the the character usual character lineup, the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, but they're giving them, I guess, new costumes. Wonder Woman has the costume most aligned with the film series now, and they just released their first issue on I guess like a summary of all the characters. I guess like a kilometer. I haven't really read the first issue yet because I'm lazy, but and plus I just picked it up from the comic store today. But yeah, pretty much they're rebooting again. And I also just read something today about Captain America. They're, I guess, revamping his origin story because he's now a Hydra.
I think that's just a Marvel switcheroo. They're not going to. Well, I'm not going to say they're not. They're probably not going to do that. It's probably going to be like a sleeper agent or something. I doubt that they're going to pull it because they kind of learned with the Scarlet Spider years ago, where they tried to say that Spider-Man, like Peter Parker, was really the Scarlet Spider, and Scarlet Spider was really like they swapped for all these years, and fans just lost their mind over it. I think that with somebody with as much history as Captain America, they're just kind of pulling, because it's hard to keep things interesting and moving forward over the years when you have so many different writers and so much stuff has happened over the course of the history of the character. So I really think that it's going to be somebody else that is Cap. Maybe he's held hostage somewhere, or they froze. Who knows? But I doubt it's going to be Captain America is really a Hydra agent. I think that that's kind of going way off the rails.
Okay. So we're nearing the end of the show. And again, we're speaking with Cecil Trachenburg from GoodBadFlicks. And where can we find you?
You can find me over at escapistmagazine.com, as well as goodbadflicks.com, and on Twitter and Facebook.
Okay, and you're on YouTube through youtube.com/goodbadflicks.
Yes, you can also find me on YouTube. That's where I probably get the majority of my views. I always oh yeah, YouTube, that other channel that I'm always on. Yes,
exactly.
I've got a several hundred videos, so if you haven't seen any of them, you've got a lot of catching up to do.
Exactly, especially the Catwoman one, which was, I regard very highly. So, again, thank you so much, Cecil, and have a good night, everybody.
Wow. So
good stuff.
Yeah,
nice job.
He is amazing. He has around 70,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, if you can believe that.
Does he really?
Yes, he does.
Nice.
And he
good
was
interview.
I'm like, I'm just a little peon. I only have 350 subscribers, and I messaged him maybe a week before I did the interview, and I said, I introduced myself. I plugged in my channel, and plugged in the online radio station, and said, hey, do you want to do an interview? And he said, yeah. It took him a while to come back with me,
right.
And then at that time, when he came back with me, I already started booking other guests, so it kind of was late, but I'm still happy. I still got him on the show.
You're getting all kinds of cool guests.
I know.
Good stuff, Joe.
And I just I'm inviting Shane Moore back on the show.
Are you? Live or phone? Phone again?
Phone again.
Yeah.
I don't think he can make it into the actual show live.
Right.
But I really want him to come over live. And then possibly I have I don't know if it's next week. I think it's the week after. And then next week I probably will have another YouTuber. His name is Aaron Richard.
Okay.
Yeah. So amazing stuff.
It really is.
Yeah. Okay, just to let you know, you're listening to the JoeDWhite Talks radio program. You can reach me on Twitter at JoeDWhite Talks. You can reach me at email at JoeDWhiteTalks@gmail.com. Are you really wanting to broadcast your business? Please let me know at my email address, because I really want to advertise your business on the show. And as well, did I already plugged in my Twitter account?
I don't know. Go for it.
Yeah, it's at JoeDWhite Talks. You can reach me on anywhere at JoeDWhite Talks. I'm on Facebook at JoeDWhite Talks. So, hope you guys have a great night. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
The things you did are coming right now. They're not planning on taking you alive.
Captain, while a great many people see you as a hero, there are some who'd prefer the word vigilante. You've operated with unlimited power and no supervision. That's something the world can no longer tolerate.
I know how much Bucky means to you. Stay out of this one. Please. You'll only make this worse.
You saying you'll arrest me?
There will be consequences.
Captain, you seem a little defensive. Well, it's been a long day. If we can't accept limitations, we're no better than bad guys. That's not the way I see it. Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth. I just want to make sure we consider all our options. Because people that shoot at you usually wind up shooting at me, too.
You know what's about to happen. Do you really want to punch your way out of this?
What do we do?
We fight. Sorry, Tommy. You know I wouldn't do this if I had any other choice. But he's my friend. So was I.
This is the all-new Riot Radio. Total variety, partial sanity. A crazy, unique mix of talk shows and music shows. RiotRadioRocks.com and Facebook.com/RiotRadioRocks. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at Riot Radio Rocks.